So good morning. I thought I'd take an opportunity here to show you a little bit more about the farm. This is our paddock number one of the first paddocks that I created once I brought my cows to the farm in 2015. Originally, it was just one big paddock, about 2.5 acres. When I got into the rotational grazing phase, though, I started breaking it up into 3 paddocks. The center paddock has a little pond in it. Now this is paddock number 3. I used it for 2 years as winter grazing. Basically, I rolled out the hay there. I had a couple of bale rings that I set up for inclement weather, but I didn't use those very much. There is water, winter water in the ground there, run out on a 1-inch water line from the well system. And so the cows had plenty of water during the winter. I gave them some protein tubs to help them out. And as you can see, I've got cows on there now. They've just been reintroduced to this paddock. I had them in paddock number 8 during the winter this year, and gave this one a rest. But I needed to get them over here and get them prepared to start rotation grazing here probably in about 2 weeks. Hopefully the grass will be growing by then and we'll have enough height in it to start letting them graze. Right now I've got this paddock, all the electric fence is pulled down on it, and all they have is some perimeter electric fence keeping them in there. Now this little paddock is about 3.5 acres, and I normally put it in 3 paddocks. I think this year I'm going to set it up as 4 whenever we get it into rotation. And this is what paddock 8 looks like after winter grazing and confinement. I bale rolled most of the hay in here. I did have a few bale rings up towards the woods in some brushy area. I wanted the cattle to get in there and trample some of that down and break it up, and then also get some manure up in those woods. This is a little pond we built back in, I guess it was early 80s. And we had some problems with some cattle getting in there. We put an electric fence around it. The deer destroyed it. And then one year, the pond froze over and the cow got on it and she fell through and died. Since that time, we've had no fish in it. And it's been kind of hard to maintain, but it's got a good permanent barbed wire fence around it now. And this is the Waterline Ditch where I put the water line in last fall. Came across, tied it into an existing water line that fed a couple of in-ground waterers. And this is a continuation of it. You can kind of see it running alongside that electric fence. And then out there towards the middle, I put a T in it and ran the water line in 2 directions, one to the south, one to the north. And we put in 2 watering stations. Those are built out of concrete pipe, inverted and set on concrete pads. This is some of the pasture. It's pasture number 7, which I break into 4 1-acre, well, a little more than 1-acre paddocks. You can see they've been in there at least twice this winter. I let them go in there early winter and they ate down part of it, and then I sent them back in there again a second time in the later part of the winter and let them go ahead and finish clipping it down. It's a little short in some areas, but a lot of it's still got about 4 inches of grass in there. It's got some broom sedge. Hopefully we can get rid of that. We've fertilized that off and on for the last 6 or 7 years, and we're starting to see a decline in the broom sedge, but it's still pretty persistent. It's that whole area of our farm has got some issues with broom sedge. You can see the manure patties. You can just barely see the lake that we built back in the early 80s. It's a little 3-acre lake. Got a lot of bass, big bass. There's one of my water stations. I keep that tire around it to help insulate the top of the concrete pipe and minimize how much access the cows have to the water station itself, so they don't mess with my plumbing in the inside of that tank. Again, that's a concrete pipe inverted. It's 4 foot long. That particular pipe is a 27-inch pipe. And this summer I'm going to put some fabric down, and we're going to put some rock around that and help improve that drinking station and keep it from getting so muddy around that. You can see the overflow tube there to the left, right-hand side, and it's good clean water, comes out of the well. Again, that tire restricts how many heads can get down in there at one time, but it also helps protect those plumbing lines in there so that the cows don't end up breaking them. And it's got an overflow drain that goes off down the hill there, and daylights, and I can also pull that pipe up from the floor and actually drain the tank down. There's the shut-off valve to the tank. You can see there's manure, and there's that waterline ditch. My plan is to take the garden tiller that goes on the back of one of my tractors and run down through there and lightly till that ditch line so that the soil's kind of blended in, and maybe fill in that ditch a little bit. And I'm going to put some seed on it. I've got, probably about 2,000 feet of that I got to do, and I need to get the seed established before the cows come back in there. Hopefully they won't be in there for about 5 weeks. You can see there's plenty of manure in here. This is, like I said, this part of it right here is paddock number 8, and it was my winter pasture. I've did some grading in here, kind of regraded it 2 or 3 times. This is I think the 4th time I've been in here, and I got most of it graded back, and it's pretty smooth. Again, we're going to have to put some fabric down. I'm going to have to put some rock down to help bed that area so that we don't have so much plugging going on. But again, this is an in-ground water station. It's one I showed you earlier in a video where it was 4 degrees and with no wind that morning, and there was just barely any skim ice on it. Now there's some pugging here. You can see the cows walking around in this in the rain and the snow. They've got it pugged up pretty good. So hopefully throughout the summer, spring, we'll get some grass growing, and then we get the summer, and it'll help pack it in, walking on it, not so pugged up, and it'll go back, and you won't ever even know we had a ditch line there to begin with. These in-ground water stations have been working pretty good for me. Now the old plastic barrel type, I've showed you that. Those eventually I'm going to dig up. I've got some more concrete pipe. They're in 8-foot sections. I'll have to cut them in half. Area where the cows wintered. There's not a lot of woods in there. There's a line of it down there in the ditch, and trees are pretty good. A few cedars, not too many. But this is an area that the cows kind of stayed away from most of the time when they were in there grazing, free grazing. And so we had a lot of broom sedge. There is quite a bit of grass in there, and but there's also a lot of buckbrush. Now this is paddock 2A, and I'm just kind of showing you what we got here. There's an electric fence that goes in and ties into that fence around the pond and comes up the hill. And these are the remnants of 3 large trees that we had that were blown over in a big windstorm. Took them out, all 3 of them at the same time. Heck of a windstorm. But you can see that fence, there's posts in there. So I just fed the cows, and you can see them up there. I rolled that bale out and given part of it to the steers. And if you look right over there in the middle of that picture, you'll see my little calf that was born, about 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And you'll see that she's up there eating some of that hay. So she's already looking to go on forage, isn't she? And then of course, I got the number 4 cow up there. She likes them males. I don't know what it is, but boy, she'll knock them around. They're keeping that paddock number 3 cut, eaten down pretty short. And this cow right here, she just kind of wants to eat the grass. She's looking around. It's pretty short in there, and it's starting to grow a little bit. I'll take some pictures over here of paddock number 1, which I'd shown you earlier in this video. So this is paddock number 1. You can see it's starting to green up a little bit more. Grass is starting to grow, and it's probably going to be a couple more weeks before we'll be able to turn the cows in there. Well, good day. Today is March the 28th, 2022, and I have 4 steers that are going to go to the market. We're going to take these over to the drop-off on Highway 42, which is about 4 miles from the house. And for $5 a head, they'll haul them to the sale barn for me. I got the 2 bigger ones in the front, which are actually the 2 youngest. And these are the 2 oldest. Now, the 2 in the back came from 3rd generation heifers. Well, they're actually 3rd generation calves. They came from 2nd generation heifers. And these came from the original 5 that we brought to the farm in 2015. And they come out of the bull Pokey, which is number 10. And these come out of Buster, which is bull number 50, which is Pokey's son. And we're going to get ready to load them out of here and take them to the sale barn. The ones that are left are my heifers and 1 steer, which we're holding back, number 230. We're going to grow him into a butcher steer. First time we've had a butcher steer on the farm since I've started raising cattle. Sure hope it tastes good. So then there were 3. These are the last 3 of the weaned calves. 2 heifers and a steer. 230, we're holding them back. I've got a 3rd heifer that was born last year, number 222. During the weaning process, she jumped out of the pen and went back with the other cows, and I just couldn't get her back by herself. So she is on her own to be weaned by mama. There's 230. That's 212. And that one right over there is number 112. She's out of the number 11 calf that was born, probably 2016. And she ended up having a broken leg. One of the bones in her back leg was broken, and I pinned her up for about 3 months. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm working on my track loader right now, trying to get it ready to run. I'm pushing some brush, and I'll take some videos then. So right now, I'm going to sign off and say goodbye.